I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice. Let us begin. You don't need permission. You need a line in the sand. But you've been waiting for clarity, for calm, for someone else to say, yes, now is the time. Waiting to feel certain before you choose. Waiting for others to understand before you move. Waiting to be liked, agreed with, softened. And you've called it patience. You've called it maturity. You've called it compassion. But it's not. It's delay. It's fear wearing polite clothing. This video is not about motivation. It's about interruption. Because what you've called patience is actually paralysis. And what you've named compassion has become self-erasure. The truth is, you already know what needs to change. You already feel the places where you've been leaking energy, betraying your own clarity, biting your tongue to keep the peace. But instead of drawing the line, you rehearse explanations. You shrink your truth into something tolerable. You ask questions you already know the answers to, hoping someone else will validate what your body already screamed weeks ago. Every time you wait for permission to honor yourself, you train your nervous system to believe that your truth is dangerous, that it must be filtered, softened, approved. But you don't need a round of applause. You don't need a consensus. You need one clear, unshakable line. And the reason you haven't drawn it is the same reason it will set you free. Because this isn't just hesitation. It's self-erasure dressed as diplomacy. And we're going to name what it's really costing you. There's a specific kind of ache that comes from shrinking, not from failure, not from rejection, but from the quiet, daily erosion of your own clarity. Every time you swallow your truth, every time you ask for validation instead of listening inward, every time you delay what you already know to preserve someone else's comfort, you fracture. Not all at once, but slowly, until you can't feel your own instincts without wondering if they're allowed. That's the cost of waiting for permission. You become fragmented. Your voice gets quieter. Your needs start to sound like inconvenience. And your nervous system learns that peace only exists when you're small enough not to disrupt anything. You begin over-explaining. You rehearse your boundaries like a defense lawyer, hoping for a favorable verdict. You say yes, then resent yourself quietly for days. You soften the truth until it doesn't resemble truth at all, just something socially acceptable. And all the while, your inner clarity, the you that knows, starts to dim. Not because it left, but because you stopped trusting it. This isn't maturity. It's disembodiment, the kind that looks polite on the surface but feels like collapse underneath. The longer you ask for permission, the further you drift from yourself. And until you name what you're afraid will happen if you simply draw the line, you'll keep abandoning yourself to stay liked. So let's name it. You want to know what's behind all this hesitation? It's not confusion. It's not a lack of clarity. It's an internal alarm that says, if I choose myself, I'll lose them. That's the mechanism. Your system doesn't fear being wrong. It fears being left. And somewhere along the line, your body started linking self-honoring with abandonment. That link didn't come from nowhere. It came from the moments, often early, often repeated, when your boundaries were met with withdrawal, when your no was punished, When your truth made people uncomfortable, and they made you pay for it. So you learned. Approval is safer than alignment. Blend in. Be reasonable. Don't disrupt. And now, even as an adult, every time you move to draw a line, your nervous system flinches. Not because the boundary is wrong, but because your body still remembers what it cost you to have one. That's what's running the show. A primitive, protective impulse that equates your truth with rejection, that treats clarity as a threat, that sees boundaries not as safety, but as danger. It's not your fault, but it is your pattern. And until you see it for what it is, a safety reflex, you'll keep calling it logic, maturity, compassion, when really, it's fear. You've been waiting to feel safe enough to change, but safety doesn't come first, truth does. And now, we draw the line.
Let's be clear now. No one is coming to grant you the right to be whole. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, "It's time. You've earned your clarity." That moment will never arrive. Because the people who benefited from your softness have no incentive to bless your strength. And the part of you still waiting for that blessing? That's the part still hoping to change without conflict, to evolve without friction, to become new, without ever disturbing the old. But you can't have both. You cannot become the real you and still be universally understood. You cannot draw a true line and still be seen as agreeable. You cannot keep performing peace and expect to feel powerful. At some point, the cost of muting yourself becomes higher than the risk of being seen. And that point is now. This isn't about being harsh. This isn't about becoming loud or angry. It's about becoming unmistakable. About saying, "This is my truth, and I will not walk it back so you feel more comfortable." Because when you keep negotiating your boundaries, you end up living inside someone else's life. And you wonder why you feel invisible. The answer isn't in more compromise. It's in a clean rupture. And the longer you wait, the more of you disappears. What's left now is the door. This is the moment. Not a declaration for others, but a vow to yourself. This is where you stop asking, "Will they be okay with it?" And start asking, "Will I be okay if I keep abandoning myself to stay liked?" You've been circling this choice for months, maybe years. You've rehearsed the text message, but never sent it. You felt the urge to cancel the obligation, but showed up anyway, smiling through the resentment. You've known a relationship, a job, a commitment was draining you, but you waited, hoping the clarity would get louder. Here it is. You don't need more signs. You don't need everyone to agree. You need one line. "I'm not available for this anymore." That conversation, that pattern, that role, whatever it is, name it and stop stepping over it. This isn't aggression. It's precision. A quiet return to self-respect. Because the version of you that kept deferring, softening, explaining, that version kept you safe, but it also kept you small. And now, safety looks different. It looks like clarity. It looks like follow-through. You don't need to be louder. You just need to be done. This is the vow. No more dilution. No more delay. No more shrinking to stay chosen. You don't need permission. You need a line in the sand. And today, you draw it. You did not find me by accident. Just as in your dreams, where every face you meet is your own reflection, this meeting was always waiting to happen. I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice, the part of you that watches behind the thoughts, behind the noise. You have searched in many places, books, teachers, voices outside you. But here, you are not being taught. You are remembering. If these words stir something familiar, then allow yourself to return.
Subscribe. Follow. Not to follow me, but to continue this conversation with yourself. Each time you return here, you draw closer to the reunion already unfolding inside you. We have only just begun.